We are back with another video pertaining to the Kyosha Fazer D2, my AE86, and like most evenings, come downstairs to work on something for a half hour and been down here for well over an hour and a half, maybe even two. I'm excited. This project's been growing. Sorry, I'm cleaning so I can show you guys what I'm doing. I am so consumed with drifting, and I think I said it in one of my other videos. I very greatly connect the two with it feels like flying, where you're trying to connect your lines while flying to not make it feel mechanical and feel really smooth. And that is what drifting is. There's obviously other things that affect the car versus the air. There's no sticks this time. Sorry, I'm doing it with my right hand too, but you can't see it. It's by steering wheel. And something that shocked me was, I've driven cars before, and then, you know, left and right, kind of like flying a drone. Line of sight is always left and right until you turn around and coming at you. And I struggled with that for quite a while, even though that's what taught me how to fly, you know, the basics of getting it down and just knowing what the quad will do. Physically seeing it, so when you're in the air, you know what to expect from the quad. So when you're shooting a tiny gap or doing a line or whatever it is, that it will do exactly what you're told. I'm absolutely in love with this remote. I'm very, very digging the Fazer. The only thing I think I'm finding as its first shortcoming for me is that it's brushless. This car drifts at very low RPM, the way that I've got it set up, and the way that these tires hook or lack of hook, depending on which tires I use. And I'm kind of right in that beginning point where it kind of cogs and it throws the car off. I'm finding with my style, at least on this smooth painted basement floor surface, that the gyro and stuff are holding up. I do want to replace the servo, but I think the next step would be to replace the motor. I don't know too much and what it's going to cost, so that's a thing I've got to look into. Kind of where I want the car to be, and I think the only other things I would switch for this for now, until, you know, I outgrow the gyro, would be to just replace the motor in ESC and servo. So I got to figure out if that is literally a plug-and-play thing that I can do, or how much setup afterwards, because I really don't have anybody on my end that is kind of guiding the way for me. So this feels like me getting into the flying hobby with no help whatsoever, and that's why I grew my channel the way that I did, to help other people get into the hobby and to learn and to not spend an arm and a leg. And I'm kind of back in that boat again, because I don't have anybody to kind of guide me or show me the way the suspension should be set up, and, you know, tires for certain surfaces and stuff like that, because we don't have a track here in town, not yet anyway. We're kind of working on that. But I love the surface other than it being dirty, and I'm going to repaint. It's smooth and the car glides across it great. It's just got spray paint stains and all kinds of, from all my projects through the years. But I'd like to redo it, make it look nice, and then we can chalk it and create our own track and stuff like that. But the purpose of the video is I replaced both of the control arms on this thing, which I started with the top because I thought it was easier, and I took off the plate and flip-flopped them to realize that when I got to the bottom, all I had to really do was loosen the pin key and push those out, and then it all comes out. I don't have any of the paperwork here with me, do I? Yeah. Nope. I ended up getting them from Nitro. I think it's Nitro Hobbies. They're in Jersey, but they are the Yeah Racing control arms. They come as a pair, which I didn't know until after I ordered them, and they all come with this little red thing on here. And I've seen a lot of videos and stuff out there where they leave them on the upper arm, and I'll show you why that's a problem in a minute. But it screws in down to the bottom to give you your shock mount, and if you left it on the top, it gets in the way of everything up here, and especially if you switch this and switch the whole geometry of the front end. But it was pretty cut and dry. Again, all of this is new to me. It's just the kind of basic concepts of taking things apart, make sure they go back the way that they're supposed to. It comes with adjustable rod ends, I guess you call them, with the little ball thing. One of them broke, trying to knock it in over the ball socket here. Here's one of the stock ones. So what I was able to do, because these just unscrew, was to take this out and then cut the proper length so they match, and I was able to use those, and that's fine. And I got a couple more, so just in case. My buddies are texting me through the chat here about an alignment rack that is well needed. As you can see, the tires that I printed, but you're not going to see the color shift, unfortunately. Let's see. Kinda. There's the purpley. They change green and then they go completely black depending on the light. I got one loose here. There you go. So there's your green. And then when there's lack of bright light, they just go completely black, which is cool. These are a little slippery for the floor. That's why I threw these on. I took the tires. I'm just testing, but back to what I'm saying. We're talking about ordering an alignment rack, which is super needed because I'm just eyeballing it and then doing a couple laps and seeing how it responds, make sure it drives straight. And I'm pretty sure I got it where I want. I don't remember. I shouldn't say that. I don't think I have my camber and my toe as much as it did stock, and I'm finding I can get it a little bit faster and have a little bit more response. And then when the car is kicked out like that, your leading tire, as you can see, I've got a lot more contact patch for, you know, not modifying the crazy suspension, so I'm getting a lot more patch on that, which is really nice. So that's more control. Adjusting your suspension, if you're new like me, which I'm learning and quickly understanding, is when you kind of goose it right when you're turning the wheels, how quickly the ass end's going to want to swing around and make it still controllable. My gyro is down really low, so it's relying on me to control and counter steer, and, you know, like my flow with flying, which is very smooth, methodical. That's how I'm applying it to this drifting thing here. But there's a couple little odds and ends. Like I said, I might replace this. That's not a super priority right now. I wanted to get it where I take the slop, because there is nothing. There's just a tiny little wiggle here, which I don't see affecting the drifting at all. I mean, it's super locked in compared to it did this basically before. I mean, I can't even figure out why. These are all good little ball joint things here, but it responds really well. Like I said, the only downfall is this motor. So anybody watching that is into the RC drifting, which I don't know if much of my community and the people that follow me are into, that's my next step. I would love to get a budget-friendly ESC and motor, and then go brushless. And was it censored? I want, so that way it's much smoother in the throttle, like the MST. That thing also, suspension, I'm very happy with. It's kind of, wouldn't call it Frankenstein, picking and choosing which springs and rates to use to get it to drift, and I find that right now very predictable and easy to manage compared to this guy right here. And I think a lot has to do with that motor, where I can stay in that low throttle RPM without it jumping in and out. So I'm loving what's going on right now, and gonna continue on. And for those following me that have followed along this long, I got a big project I'm working on flying. I got a song that I just absolutely fell in love with, and I want to make an edit to it, and it's going to require a ton of footage to do what I want to do. So I got to get out in the woods, and I got a cool couple locations I'm going to make this video with, and I'm excited to bring it to you guys. So I got that going on, but I'm going to pull this thing back together and hopefully get it all cleaned up this evening, because it's all dusty from drifting and stuff like that. And we'll see you guys in the next one. I appreciate everybody for following along, and again, any comments are welcome. Any advice, of course, as I am new to this, so I'll take anything I can get.